Hi, so I'm going to read The Liberation of Gabriel King, and I am in chapter 6. It's called Into Town. I'm on page 27 if you're following along. A man can do a lot of thinking and still come to the same conclusion. Best to stay put where life is decent. Of course, Frida still had an offer to stay behind with me, but I guess she'd come around when she discovered how serious I was about staying back. I figured I'd ask her again eventually, but eventually snuck up on me real quick. It was a Tuesday morning, and me and Frida were making a track and field course outside my trailer. Let's pretend we're in the Olympics, Frida said. The Olympics are coming up, which remember our Olympics are canceled till next year or postponed, and Frida had been reading all about them. This part of the road can be the track, and then we can bring out stuff to be the hurdles and the high jump. We looked around the trailer until we found what we needed. There was a lamp with a broken switch, Mama's old blender that wouldn't blend, the pillows from the couch with the stuffing falling out, and the stool with the cracked seat cover, and 3 buckets. Someone's got to count, Frida said, so we know if we set any world records. I said I'd count first, so Frida lined up behind the lamp. On your mark, get set. The mailman walked right into our course and tripped over the blender. Crazy kids, he said, shaking his head. He took out a yellow slip and handed it to me. This one's for you, Gabe. Guess you got a package down at the post office. The mailman put the rest of the mail in the box. Then he headed next door. Frida ran up to see my package slip, but she jumped over the obstacle first, ending with a flying leap into the pillows. I counted and she made it in record time. Record for Hallowell, Georgia, anyway. She stood up and hopped over to me. Did you order something? She asked. When she reached me, nope, I said. Maybe it's for Pop. But it says it's for you, Frida pointed out. Ask your mom if we can walk into town and get it. Frida reached down and scooped up a huge daddy longlegs that was crawling over the finish line. She dangled him between her thumb and her forefinger, and I jumped a mile, even though that spider wasn't anywhere near me. I ran quick into the trailer and poked my head inside the front door. Mom, I yelled, can me and Frida walk into town? All I heard was a muffled sound from the back, but that was enough for me. Okay, we're going, I hollered. I went back to the yard where Frida was setting the spider down in the pillows, real careful. Ready, I asked, keeping my distance. The daddy longlegs scampered away. Good riddance. Yup, Frida said. Let's take the old dirt road. It's quicker. I felt my goose flesh rising. The old dirt road was a narrow stretch between the peanut mill and the town of Hallowell, and nobody used it except for the 18-wheelers, those were the big semis, that came to pick up the peanuts. They came barreling down out of nowhere. Mama always said a man could get run over and killed on that stretch of road like this, and no one would know for days. Me and Frida talked about it once, and we guessed you'd get eaten by buzzards. Those are big birds. They pick at you with their huge beaks until there was nothing but a pile of bones. Who's in a rush, I asked. Frida said, don't be a chicken, Gabriel King. Then she took off, so I didn't have any choice but to follow. We left the obstacle course set up and ran through the trailer park and cut through the secret path. As soon as we stepped in the old dirt road, I looked up and down for 18-wheelers. Then I looked into the sky for buzzards, just in case, but there weren't any. There was only dry dust choking up my tongue, making it hard to breathe. Everything was pressing in, even with Frida right there beside me. Race, yeah, I said, so we could get to town faster. I took off 3 seconds early and ran full out, but Frida still beat me by a mile. By the time I turned onto Main Street, she was already sitting in front of the post office. I could see her perfectly clear because there were only 7 buildings in the town of Hallowell, so you can see just about everything at once. There is the post office, the town hall with its big green lawn and gazebo, May's Pit Stop Restaurant, the general store, the Baptist church, and the gas station. Then a little further down, there's Hallowell Elementary School. Frida stood up when she saw me coming. What took you so long, she asked, but she didn't say it mean, only teasing. I was all winded, so I handed Frida my yellow slip, and she marched up the steps to the post office and gave it to Mr. Alfred. I walked in real slow behind her, taking in big gulps of air. Morning, Frida. Morning, Gabe, said Mr. Al. He looked at me and shook his head, chuckling. What are you two up to today, he asked. Nothing, Frida said. Mr. Al went in the back and brought out a big manila envelope and handed it to me. I tore it open. This certifies that Gabriel Allen King completed the 4th grade at Hallowell Elementary School, Hallowell, Georgia, in May 1976. There was a class picture inside the envelope, too. I frowned and stuffed everything back in. Something good, Mr. Owl asked. No, I said. Me and Frida went outside and sat down in the lawn in front of the town hall. I picked up a pebble out of the grass and threw it at some of the election posters hanging up on the community board. I aimed for the one of General Ford and pretended he was Duke Evans. Then I pretended I was Jimmy Carter and everyone was going to vote over which one of us was the best. Went to the West Wing next year because there sure wasn't room for the best of us. So this is a allusion to something famous. So the election between General Ford and Jimmy Carter. Me and Frida were quiet for a long time. At least you got a class picture, she said at last. I pulled it out of the envelope, and there I was in front and center, looking like a first grader. My hair was all messed up like a rat's nest. I'd forgotten it was picture day, so I wore my oldest tattered overalls. Frida was 2 rows above me, and her hair looked perfect, all done in a neat bun on top of her head. She was smiling real huge. There was only 10 kids in our class, but even so, Frida stood out. She was the only black person in the picture and the only girl in the top row. I remember how Frida's class picture got all crushed in the dust, so I yawned like I was bored instead of grumpy. Who wants a stupid old picture anyway? I said. Maybe I'll throw it away. Throw it away, Frida said, opening her eyes. You can't waste a good picture like this. Look, there's Miss Murray, the best teacher we've ever had. You want a picture of Miss Murray, don't you? Nah, I said, you can have it. I'll get another one next year. Frida took the picture out of my hands, because remember, he wants to go back to 4th grade again next year. Well, I'll keep it if you're going to throw it away, she said, but you know you're not staying behind. You got a certificate to prove it right here. I picked up another pebble and aimed it for General Ford again. But this time I hit Jimmy Carter right on the nose. Frida shook her head. Gabe, she said, we got to do something about you. You mean so I don't get pounded? I mean, so you'll move up with me next year. Why can't you stay behind? Frida wrinkled her nose. Then how would we ever get out of elementary school? Nope, she said. We got to think of a plan. A plan? Yup, said Frida. Something to help you stop being chicken. I scowled. Didn't seem to be anything that could do that, but I thought it over. Frida, I said at last, yeah, if we can't make me brave, then will you stay behind with me? Frida yawned, but finally she shrugged. I guess, she said, but I'm going to come up with something, and when I do, you better try it. No halvesies, deal? Deal, I said, sticking out my pinky. Frida linked hers with mine, and we shook on it.